right, we are back live. We are watching a disgusting parade of Kaepernick and Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and Obama and others. In fact, Obama, they're saying, might go to the funeral of Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro killed hundreds of thousands of people. He launched wars in Angola that killed, some estimates are 500,000 people. No one really knows. I've even had family and friends that fought in Southern and Central Africa. It was just decades of hell. A lot of it never even on our news. The communists just go into whole villages, kill everyone that don't submit. And then Fidel Castro lived in a palace with all these women. He was a CIA blowback program. That's all declassified. And I get the fact that, you know, the CIA tried to kill him so he was a survivor, so he looks like a hero, but the CIA created him. And I just can't believe if Donald Trump did 1/10 of what Castro's done, I wouldn't support him. Doesn't matter if Donald Trump, you know, likes me and, you know, calls me and says thank you. I was invited to Cuba before. They're like, you might meet with Castro, pat on the head. That's what he does with all these idiots who I see tweeting and saying how great he was. And it's just so frustrating to see this when, look at Venezuela, look at Cuba, look at North Korea, look at what happened in Russia, look at China. Communism is just a bunch of ruling generals controlling the economies and demanding your daughter come service them. I mean, it is a horrible system of slavery, but it's pushed as the best thing since sliced bread. Now, we've got that going on, and we've got the point that Soros and Hillary have bankrolled $7 million to the head of the Green Party, which is really the Communist Party, to do recounts. And the big tell, as I said a week ago, is it's only in states Trump won. Only in battlegrounds. When there's other states Hillary clearly stole, according to Bev Harris, who's a real election fraud expert, a real liberal. She just tells the truth. But we saw it happen. 100% many key precincts where Hillary won, where she got 100% of the vote. Does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe any of this crap? So I've told Trump, when I talked to him a couple weeks ago, I've told his people, I said, you watch. They're not going to give up. They want those 5 Supreme Court justices. They want to launch these wars. They're not giving up. They know you're a nationalist. And you telling them you're not going to prosecute them, they're not stupid. You're not going to be able to find any prosecutor that won't want to go after them with the stuff that's happened. Now, it came out as soon as Hillary launched this a few days ago that Trump is looking to have other foreign governments release the foundation info, the laundered money, just like we pressure Switzerland to expose somebody. So, quite frankly, I knew that over a week ago, and I was saying just trust Trump, because at the level we've gotten, this is beyond journalism now. We always tell the truth, but if something's going to damage the country or our free system, if I've got something, I'm not going to tell people if it helps the enemy. We're in a total war, folks. This isn't rhetoric. We're in a total war. We are 53 days out from the inauguration of Donald Trump. He is completely surrounded. We have a precarious beachhead. I liken this to Normandy, and 20 troop carriers have landed. We've only got 300 troops on the shore, and it's all coming down. And they are planning something big, folks. Race riots, destabilization, you name it. They want a civil war. Let me tell you something. I'm not a drama queen. Everybody knows that. I've never had problems with liberals. They are coming up and brandishing guns at me on the street. They are telling me they're going to get me. I've actually gone ahead and I'm going to pull the trigger and get full-time security now. Because of it. It's serious, okay? And I'm not going to get into all the stuff that's happening, but let me just tell you something. It's bad, okay? And it shows the season we're in. We got communists up and down the street in Austin with guns, threatening and say, kill cops with guns in their hands. That's not free speech. That's a terroristic threat. So we're here, 53 days out. I cannot stress to you how serious the situation is. Economist Stephen Moore said on Fox News, if election results are overturned, we will be looking at a civil war. And he's absolutely right, and that's their plan, because they can't win politically, and they know there's a great awakening, not of right-wing stuff or racism, but of nationalism and common sense and freedom and not being bullied by political correctness. And it's happening from Catalonia in Spain to what's happening in Brazil to what's happening with the Brexit, with the EU. And they have a question, you know, like, oh, on Reddit, what's globalism? It's worldwide corporate tyranny. And people are waking up to it. So their whole investment, everything they've done, the banksters have done, is coming unraveled. And it's got to the point where the Pope, who's officially making a deal with the Communist Chinese to set Catholic doctrine. That's Associated Press. The Guardian. Pope, possible deal with China would betray Christ, says Hong Kong Cardinal. It actually says we will set our doctrine worldwide, not just in Beijing, with you. This is a takeover. They said what's going about the Catholic Church. It had its problems. It was taken over by pedophile rings, infiltrated. That's how they blackmail. It's how it controls. That's why good U.S. intelligence agencies or good groups in it leaked all the Pizzagate stuff as a checkmate. Instead of them using this against our government, they've recruited pedophiles in the government. Let's just get the whole thing out. And that's why Assange has disappeared, because he was ready to release it all, folks. We are in the most dangerous time in world history right now. So I wanted to get, and I appreciate him coming on short notice, former Navy SEAL, author, researcher, Matt Bracken, enemiesforeignanddomestic.com. I noticed today we saw a jihad-style attack. They'll try to cover up who he is. But it was reported very early on local news it was a machete and car attack, just like Nice, France. They were saying it was a gun, see? And notice they announced 2 years ago, quote, the legalization of fake news by the CIA through the State Department in Foreign Affairs and the CFR and in the Washington Post. We put that on screen. U.S. legalizes fake news. That's why they now announce we're fake news. Can we pull that up? Or I can do it. There it is. U.S. ends ban on domestic propaganda. Yeah, but they'll say that's RT. I want to show the Washington Post. Just click web, because it's an old article. Just click web. I want to show people it's the Washington Post and Foreign Affairs. U.S. ends ban on fake news. And notice now the dinosaur media comes out and says that we're the fake news. Ladies and gentlemen, we're the opposite. Here, I'll pull it up. We're the opposite of fake news. And we're going to go to our guest. I'm going to pull this up right now because this is important. Everybody needs to see this. Okay? U.S. lifts ban on fake news. It's Foreign Affairs. It's Washington Post. I'll pull that up. U.S. lifts ban on fake news. All right, as long as it takes, I'm going to do this. Google and Facebook take aim at fake news. That's a new article from this month. No, I want to show people.
Alex, this is Nico. I'm live on the air. I just wanted to explain that foreignpolicy.com, the site that we usually show the article, it's behind a paywall. So we're able to get it to load for a few seconds, but then it jumps off screen.
Oh, I got it. Well, I'm not mad. I understand. I was just frustrated because I want to. People are going to say it's RT, so it's not real. I want to hit them with the Washington Post Foreign Affairs publication. You're awesome, Nico. There it is. Great job. U.S. repeals propaganda ban, spreads government-made news to Americans. And by the way, I want to say about the whole crew. They're on the spot in there trying to search in live time everything I say to just show you, unlike anybody else, we do this. So you guys know I'm not mad at you, right? Good. Great crew. There it is. U.S. repeals, print that for me, or pay the paywall. I don't care. Because it was my dad texted me earlier. He goes, Alex, the fake news is the fact that they started this 3 years ago. So again, this is the declared war against free speech that's now happening. You understand? So I cannot stress to you the emotional level here, but I'm very intellectual when it comes to analyzing it, very cold. But they understand. I have a cold, but I'm here because the news is so important. They understand their time is short. They're moving on every front. So Matt Bracken of enemiesforeignanddomestic.com joins us to break this down. You've heard in the last 10 minutes my analysis. Obviously, do you agree with it, disagree with it? What other info can you add? My intellectual gut tells me that the real attack's coming.
I totally agree with it. Just as far as the fake news, going a little bit on that, the CIA has employed quote-unquote journalists, real and fake journalists, and send them around the world to generate fake stories, that have, obviously they need to have a kernel of truth in them. But the trick is to plant the fake story in mainstream media, so it appears to be just some legitimately sourced, just organically developed news story out of Timbuktu in 1955. The CIA has been doing that from the very beginning. I mean, that's been a modus operandi. After the Church Commission, they tried to squelch that, but they can get around that so easily. Just
Project Mockingbird. Well, then what do you make of their whole fake news initiative? It seems to be blowing up in their face. Everybody knows they're the corporate globalist Soros fake news. And let's shift gears into, I'm going to skip this break because it's so important, this whole civil war push they're involved in.
Well, the whole Jill Stein thing, I think we need to know where the money's coming from. Are they $5 donations, or is it coming from, Soros groups? I think that the Zero Hedge and some other websites this morning have nailed it. I think it's an attempt to push the recounts past December 19th. The December 19th is a hard date. They can't put that off. The Electoral College has to vote on December 19th. If it doesn't, because they're recounting in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and so on, they hope to then throw it into Congress and create a complete scene of turmoil. And I think Stephen Moore, who generally just is talking about economics, he's one of the Trump economic team. He's absolutely right. I think they're trying to instigate a civil war, I would say.
Since you mentioned it, here is The Economist saying, get ready for civil war.
The Democrats are still in a state of denial about what happened in the election. It would be one thing, Melissa, if this election were decided by, say, just one state. But for the most part, Donald Trump won an electoral landslide. I will say this: that if the Democrats challenge this and try to change the election, I think there would be a bit of a civil war in this country. And one other thing, you look back at history. One of Richard Nixon's finest moments was when he did not contest the election in 1960 that may well have been stolen from him. And also say the same thing to Al Gore, who accepted the results after they were confirmed. But I think Hillary Clinton has to step up and accept these results.
Matt Bracken, again, former Navy SEAL, a guy that comes highly recommended by smart folks inside the Pentagon that can't come on air because of classification reasons. They say, get this guy on. He's a smart cookie, which he's proven coming on the last 6 months with us. I know he was big before I ever found him. There's just so many great people out there on the internet, which totally dominates mainstream media when you add us all together. But when InfoWars is now 126 on Quantcast, bigger than BBC, bigger than the New York Times online, they're in panic mode saying they want to shut us down. But obviously, I figured this out myself and then talked to a bunch of Trump insiders. I did not bring this up when I talked to Trump. It was limited time, obviously. But I figured out he at least told them, hey, back off, take the results, I'll leave you alone. We now know Obama told Hillary, you better concede. Hillary's now double backing on that deal. So Trump's going ahead and announcing, okay, we'll go after your foundation. I mean, I cannot stress to people the street fight we're in right now with 50 days out, 53 days out from this, from his inauguration. I think they're going to pull out all the stops, false flags, you name it. So spill your guts. I know you don't like to speculate. What do you think is going to happen?
I think this is sort of like a game of liar's poker going on, and a lot of it has to do with the calendar. There are things that Trump would say after January 20th if he's inaugurated that he dare not say now. I think that the Electoral College December 19th is a critical day, and obviously the inauguration January 20th. But there's a game of liar's poker. You've got cards that are face up, and you've got cards that are face down. You've got cards still in the deck, on the bottom of the deck, up your sleeve, inside of your shoe. And we're just seeing the face cards that are, facing up. But that's only a tiny fraction of the game. That's like the visible part of the iceberg. There's an entire war going on right now at a hidden level. And the Jill Stein thing, I think she's just being pushed as a patsy. I think she's just being somebody's puppet, probably Soros. Hillary is going to see if it looks like it might actually work, she'll go for it. But if they do something to disrupt the Electoral College vote on the 19th, or threaten enough Electoral College, electors to change the outcome, I think that what they're hoping for is that somebody on either side is going to pull out a rifle and say, damn it, that's the end. At this point, Lee Harvey Oswald could walk into history and change history. That's why something like what happened at OSU today immediately goes to the top of the news, because we don't know if it's a guy named Mohammed or if it's a guy named, Cletus Turnbuckle from the White People's Party. Everybody's waiting to see who it is, because it's not so much a matter of, the 8 wounded, or I don't know if any have died. That's obviously an important story, but it's no more important, say, than the Chattanooga bus in terms of, the families that are impacted. But the reason that it becomes immediate top of the hour news with news conferences and breaking news, et cetera, is because it has potential political ramifications.
Well, sure. Notice how they said for 3 hours it was a gun, because any type of campus emergency, when they default to emergency, hide, duck, cover, prepare to die, whatever it is they say, it becomes a gun. Even though they knew for hours they said mass shooting with a gun, even though it was now a butcher knife, not even a machete. And look, I'm not saying it was probably Islamicists, but every time I hear about a machete or a knife, 9 times out of 10, it's an Islamist is doing it. And we know ISIS has called for intensified attacks on soft targets with knives.
Unless it's a person having a psychotic break, because that also happens. People will just walk into a mall and they're seeing something that's not there. They're seeing themselves in a delusional world where there are evil aliens around.
Sure,
them.
They might be a superhero and they think they're taking out the aliens. Video game heads.
Yeah, something I jogged my memory today. The biggest school massacre in history happened in 1927 in Bath Township, Michigan. There were 44 killed and another 50 or so badly injured when a person put dynamite in the school. This is way before the internet. It's even before television. It's before television. So there have always been psychotics that might do something like this. But the difference, and the reason that it's happening now, is the culture and television and the internet. It's a way to grab instant immortality. If you're a loser in life, you can at least become famous and
sure, I agree with you. And I'm not for Big Brother technology, but they admit with the algorithms and things, a psychopath online is very easy to predict what he's going to do. Amazon can predict when you're going to order something before you order it. Why are they not doing the profiling then when it's constitutional, if it's open source stuff you're doing? Why does the system seem to want to protect criminals and psychopaths?
I don't know, but with 300 million people, just the law of averages says that even without telegraphing in advance on Facebook or so forth, look at the guy Omar Mateen in Orlando. If they couldn't detect Omar Mateen, and he had been interviewed by the FBI
when his dad was on TV saying "kill the gays."
Right. So if they couldn't dissuade or detect an Omar Mateen, then somebody that's even further off the radar or never been on the radar is virtually impossible to detect.
Sure, and we know they know they knew he was there, but it's just like the book that's out from the former government analysts. They were ordered not even look at something if it had the name Islamic in it. So
that's going to change. That's definitely going to change. One of the things that Obama did was purge the trainers that were consultants to the FBI and the Pentagon and so forth. Fellas like the man who wrote See No Evil, and there are other books by the people that were kicked out, basically.
Well, sure, the book See Something, Say Something. We had him on.
See Something, Say Something.
It's WorldNet Daily Books, and that guy was senior analyst, and they would have people planning stuff, and they'd say, we're not allowed to look at something that's Islamic or a mosque. And they're like, but they're saying they're going to do it. And they go, it doesn't exist, because they said Islamic terror doesn't exist.
Right. Both the Boston Massacre and San Bernardino are the direct result of that purge, because the people that did it would have been detected. For example, going to Saudi Arabia and coming back with a Pakistani madrasa-trained fanatic wife, that would have been stopped. She would have been picked up at the airport, interrogated, etc.
By the way, from my view back then, I was saying,
by Obama.
Back then I was saying, well, it must be an inside job if they knew and let them do it. But instead, it is an inside job. It's not the low-level FBI. It's the order to stand down. So I'm right. I just didn't have all the angles figured out, because I'm sitting there watching this.
Another place that this is playing out right now in real time is in the military. The fact that soldiers cannot carry personal weapons or issued weapons on base.
Trump says he's changing that.
But the military, the Obama generals, these politically correct sycophants, are putting a million catch-22 regulations in front of it, so that it's virtually impossible to still carry a weapon. You have to.
But won't Trump just countermand all that?
I'm sorry?
Won't Trump just countermand it?
He can after January 20th. Possibly, but there are some regulation factors that I've been reading about. If they put in these new regulations now and it's not countermanded within 60 days, it becomes a law, and it might require more than just an executive order.
Well, let me ask you this then, Mr. Bracken. Looking at the Islamic threat, the tet to Islam, clearly that's what's going on. They've made a deal. You said this like a year ago, and I was like, that's wild. It's confirmed. They made a deal to let them. They have TV ads on how to cover up abusing your wife, how to make people submit to you. We're being told they're putting women with hijabs on, California and UK TV, but Christians can't wear crosses. Clearly a deal's been made with radical or Orthodox Islam. So what are these sleeper cells the left's brought in? What is their purpose?
The violent sleeper cells are actually considered damaging to the cause by the much more dangerous cultural infiltrators that look at it from a generational long-term demographic point of view, that we'll have 7 babies each, you'll have 1.5 babies each, and we'll outnumber you. They look at the ones that actually pull the jihad, the violent jihad, as blowing their cover and harming the cause. So there's an internal conflict within the jihad over whether or not to do it completely by stealth and demographics, or to do violent jihad as ISIS has called for. So there's that internal conflict right there within the Muslim community inside of the West, America, Europe, everywhere.
All right,
you can see in Germany. I mean, they're going halal basically. They're just saying we can't win, so we're just going to take down the cross. I
was about to say, the German government is making people submit to Islam, taking down crosses, ending Oktoberfest because it makes the Muslims mad. I'm asking you, why is the left so inherently allied with it? Mr. Bracken, stay right there. We're going to come back. I want to open the phones up as well. What do you think is coming up with this election? What do you think is coming up with the push for civil war? It's clearly going on. We're 53 days out from the inauguration. The Electoral College is on the 20th of next month. This is an incredible time. We'll give the number out when we come back. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You gonna sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you gonna be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.